All right, it's day 2 of the New York Comic Con,
Hello.
and we are with Charles Ardai, who is writing Heat Seekers for Guided Comics. And this interview was supposed to take place yesterday, but due to the chaotic nature of the show, somebody double booked the interview.
And it's okay. It doesn't matter. It's fine. I'm glad I get to see you now and talk about Heat Seeker. So Heat Seeker is an offshoot from Gun Honey.
Okay.
So more people know Gun Honey than Heat Seeker. Gun Honey started probably 4 or 5 years ago now, and it became a big success. In fact, the debut issue was the top-selling independent comic of the year, which is something I never expected to be able to say, so I'm very excited about that. And then after we had done our first 2 Gun Honey series, we had a gap in the schedule while our artist, Anghor Kang, who's fantastic, was drawing the 3rd one. And we introduced a spin-off series called Heat Seeker, which was about the ex-girlfriend of the main character from Gun Honey. And her name is Dahlia Racers, and her criminal specialty is if you've been marked for death, she will help you disappear.
Okay.
For a fee. And
not for free.
It's not for free. I mean, she might do it if she really likes you. And so Dahlia is the star of Heat Seeker, and we did the original Heat Seeker. Then we did one called Heat Seeker Combustion. The one that's in stores now is called Heat Seeker Exposed, where some investigative reporter named McGee, a tip of the hat to the old Incredible Hulk series from the 1970s, is trying to expose Dahlia's secrets, and now the person Dahlia has to help disappear is herself.
Okay.
So that is the premise of Heat Seeker.
So what inspired, Gun Honey and everything that's come after it?
I think the original inspiration, you'd have to go back to when I was a kid watching James Bond movies, and I loved watching a heroic main figure tussle with bad guys, run across the tops of buildings, jump onto helicopters. All the action and intrigue of those movies really appealed to me. And then Indiana Jones and Raiders of the Lost Ark, movies like that, which are propulsive, momentum kinds of storytelling. I always wanted to do that. And one day, maybe I'll get a chance to do that with a $100 million budget in the movies. But in the meantime, it's great fun to do it on the comic book page. I've been a comic fan all my life, and these kinds of stories are rare.
Well, that was going to be, usually that's the first question I ask, is to tell me about your history as a comic book reader and as a creator, but we're there now. We're there now.
I was a Barry Allen Flash kid. The first issue I ever bought was the issue where, spoiler alert, Iris is murdered. We think initially
is at the party.
At the party,
Exactly.
That's right. The cover is Sandman shooting her and
bang your dad,
and she's dressed as Batgirl.
Yes,
that's right. And that issue was so galvanizing to me that I then went on to collect all of the Barry Allen Flash series. Certainly everything from that point forward, but I went back at conventions and I bought up all the old back issues. I think there are 5 I don't have. And so Flash was my main comic, but I also read Spider-Man. I remember I was in high school when the first 4-issue Wolverine series came out. I still have those somewhere. I remember Crisis on Infinite Earths. I remember weird, obscure things like DC Challenge, where there was a question mark on the front cover of each and a different writing and art team on each.
And they passed it off
with cliffhanger endings. Yeah. I love that stuff.
It got so convoluted.
It was impossible to make sense of it by the end, but it was still great fun.
I mean, the second attempt at it that they did a couple
of years ago. I didn't know they did another one.
They did another one, and I think it was a little more, coherent, and but it was nice because they even worked in Command B. And
excellent!
I was like, yes.
So I love obscure things like that. I love burying Easter eggs, and I do that in my books as well. I never wrote a comic book until Gun Honey. That was my first comic book. I'd written 5 or 6 novels. I'd written TV shows. But I had never written a comic, even though that was one of my first passions as a reader and a writer. And so this is a dream come true. This is really very much a bucket list item. I mean, if one day DC came by and said you could write a Barry Allen Flash throwback 1970s story, that would be a real bucket list item. But in the meantime, getting to do my own is great fun.
So how did writing prose and TV and stuff translate into comics? Was there a gap? Or was there a learning curve?
Definitely a learning curve. And you would think you've been reading comics all your life, you know how they work, and you don't. You really don't. It took me some experimentation before I realized, for instance, that if you have a big surprise, it has to come on a left-hand page. Because if the surprise is on a right-hand page, you immediately see, when you turn the page, you see the surprise before you arrive at it in the story. So little things like that, technical things like that. And then telling a story that can only be 22 pages. It can't be 21. It can't be 23.
Okay.
That's another technical thing. It's like writing a sonnet. There's no such thing as a 13-line sonnet or a 4-line limerick. This is like poetry. Yeah. Quote me on that. Writing comic books is like writing poetry. Not everyone will tell you that.
So, what have you? Is there anything that you've learned as you started writing comic books that you've kind of applied as you are moving forward?
Oh, absolutely. One of the things is structurally coming up with a story that has a natural hook to carry through 4 issues. So basically, you don't want to have 4 issues that are more or less disconnected. There was in I think my second or third Gun Honey, the story basically wrapped up after issue 3, and issue 4 was a completely self-contained, unrelated story that took place in a completely different location. And it hung together just well enough, but in retrospect, I wouldn't do that again. So the series that's starting next year, called Gun Honey Doubles Down, has a very clear through line, so that on page 1 of issue 1, you learn something that carries you through the entire next 4 issues, and it feels like a single unified story. That's important. I think that makes just for a better reading experience.
Now, for Heat Seekers, it sounds like it really wasn't the plan to kind of go off onto the sides. I don't want to say a tangent, but explore that,
You mean that whole character?
Yeah.
No, I think that's right. I think it was a bit of a tangent, but it was a very rewarding one. So I could have just kept writing the main Gun Honey series about Joanna Tan, weapons expert, who will get you any weapon you need, where you need it, when you need it. That's her criminal specialty. And I could have done that indefinitely, but I also think it would have been a less well-developed universe if we hadn't seen her through the eyes of her ex-girlfriend, who has a completely different role. And now I'm beginning to see that, 1 John Wick movie is good, 2 John Wick movies are good, but the entire universe of John Wick, that's even more exciting. Like the Marvel universe is more exciting than any one character in the Marvel universe. So I think it's fun that Gun Honey is now a universe. It's not a cinematic universe yet.
Is there, plans, or would you like to kind of grow it a little more?
Yeah. So the main character in Heat Seeker, Dahlia Racers, met an adversary who became her girlfriend. And that character has been so much fun to write about that I think she's going to have her own spin-off series next. Her name is Evie Parker. She's a mercenary, a ruthless killer. She's been genetically altered so she can't feel pain or heat or cold or hunger or fatigue. She's also a huge nerd. She's also a comic book fan.
You're a Comic-Con.
Exactly.
No hunger, no can't feel pain.
If you don't feel it when people bump into you, and if you can go without convention hall food, oh, that's a big advantage. So yeah, I actually am thinking that the first issue of her series is going to open at Comic-Con.
Okay.
We'll see if that works.
So who's the artist that you're working with?
So that book hasn't started yet because I haven't written it yet.
Yeah.
But Ace Continuado is the artist who does all the Heat Seeker work. He's based in California and he's terrific. Anghor Kang, who's based in Malaysia, does all the Gun Honey work. They're both terrific and they're very different from each other. Ang's work is like a young Frank Frazetta, very detailed, hand-drawn, pen and ink work, lots of cross-hatching and physicality. And Ace's work reminds me of movie storyboards, a lot of momentum, a lot of velocity, and you can see the movement in the air as his characters leap about. And I love them both. What a treat to work with both of these guys.
And what was it about Titan Comics that, and obviously if they're going to say, we're going to publish your book, then yes.
Well, Titan is great. I started working with Titan to publish our prose novels, the ones that have only a single cover illustration and all the rest is ink. It's all words on a page. And we've been working with them since 2011 to publish people like Stephen King, Ray Bradbury, Michael Crichton, Brian De Palma.
All the up-and-comers.
All the up-and-comers, the young guys, the young kids.
Young guns.
We gave them their start. But Titan also publishes comics.
Yeah.
In fact, some very well-known ones, Doctor Who and Blade Runner and Conan. And at one point, the 2 people who run Titan, Nick and Viv, the couple that run Titan, suggested to me that we do Hard Case Crime Comics as an experiment. And I was very grateful to them. And we started doing comics with film people like Walter Hill, mystery writers and comic book writers like Max Allan Collins, Dwayne Straczynski. And I promised them that I would write one myself eventually, but I kept putting it off. I didn't have an idea that I loved yet. And then I came up with Gun Honey, and the rest is history.
Well, you have a guest with us. Would you like to introduce them?
I would love to. One of our models, Yan, who will come around if she can make it.
Perfect space right between
us. Yan is going to be one of our cosplay models for a future series, either of Gun Honey or Heat Seeker, or possibly the unnamed 3rd series yet. And she's currently dressed in the green fatigues of Dahlia Racers, star of Heat Seeker, who's best known for having vibrant red hair. But she's a master of disguise, and the vibrant red hair is actually a wig. Underneath it, she's a blonde, and here we are.
Hey, wait.
It's perfect.
And how, when you were designing the character, did you have anybody in particular in mind, or it was just what did you work with the artist on developing?
I worked with the artist on developing it. I didn't have a specific performer in mind, although in retrospect, that wouldn't be the worst thing to do. So if I create yet another character that I haven't yet, maybe I'll pick someone that looks just like Sydney Sweeney, just randomly, and then maybe, or a young Sigourney Weaver, and then we can do a CGI Sigourney Weaver.
Yeah. So, is there anything else that you'd like to maybe mention in the time remaining? Because I don't want to keep you too long.
Oh no, it's fine. Don't worry about it.
Well,
But
I have.
you have
I
other
have other things
Yeah.
to do.
Totally
Not,
fine.
and,
We
I'd like to have would like to welcome you onto our live show. So
I would love to do a
when
live
we
show.
can do a long form and there's a co-host asking better questions than I do.
So your questions are good. I would love to do the live. We'll do that too. But the short answer is Hard Case Crime is bigger than Gun Honey. It's bigger than Charles Ardai. We published a series of 6 volumes of the collected Ms. Tree, the classic series by Max Allan Collins, which was the longest running detective series, I think, in history, certainly the longest running with a female detective as its star. So those 6 volumes of the Ms. Tree collected editions are terrific reads from the 80s. And I encourage anyone who loves the history of our genre to read those. And we just did one called The Loose End, which is
Dave Blanche.
That's right.
I'm
Exactly.
friends with Dave Blanche.
Oh, that's great.
And we just had him on our show.
Fantastic. Read that one. That is like a Tarantino movie done as a comic book.
Dave is a great guy. I've known him since the early aughts.
Oh, I'm so glad.
So
That's great. Yeah. So that was an example of one that came to us out of the blue, and I just fell in love with it.
Yeah, and he was on our show last week.
Excellent.
So
Well, we'll say hi to him next time you talk to
I
him.
will.
And yeah, so those are some things to check. But if you just go to hardcasecrime.com, whatever the newest stuff is, certainly on our website, you'll see the newest prose novels. That's the main focus of the website. But if we have something cool in comic books, you can find us on Instagram, where we're the real Hard Case Crime. It's a long story why we're not just at Hard Case Crime.
Well, you know what?
We'll tell that on the live.
show.
Yeah, exactly.
Got to save the
We'll
good stuff.
save the good stuff. Excellent. Well, thank you so much for letting me do this.
Well, I'm glad we were able to, get our schedules
We
to
made it work.
intersect. And
Excellent.
are you going to be on the cruise on Saturday night?
Yes. So
I will see you there then.
terrific. So maybe you'll take some photos there. Cynthia Von Bueller, the author of the Minky Woodcock books, the last of which was Minky Woodcock, The Girl Called Cthulhu, has a boat rented for a special party at Comic-Con on Saturday night. We're all going to be there.
Woo!
Yay! Okay.
We're on the boats.
We're on a
All
boat.
right. All right. Well, I want to thank you again for taking the time out of
It's a
your
pleasure.
con experience to chat with us, and we'll be in touch because I really would like to hear more of your
Yeah, let's
stories
do it.
and more, stuff behind your work.
Cool. Thank you. I hope it recorded okay.